Well, good morning, Aristo, or actually for you, good afternoon, and we're actually starting later than usual, and I've got red candles for you, so you're going to be the ambassador today. No, not really, but...
Ambassador of something. Now, what that is, who knows?
Like that. You know, I wanted to touch base with you this morning, and I'm not exactly sure. We've talked about several things in our pre-conversation. Is there a particular title or topic that you'd like to talk about today?
Now, title, I don't know about title. You'll have to
maybe
figure
by
out
the end.
that. But by the end, yeah. I'd like to mix and match because I don't believe just talking about metaphysical things or just talking about secular things. My whole premise for all of these conversations, whether they do just talk metaphysical or secular or whatever, is to mix the two. We live in a world where the inner and the outer are challenged to be one. We're challenged to make that connection. So whenever we're challenged to do something, it is prudent to look for every opportunity to accomplish that, to apply that. So every possible moment, every moment of our lives is an opportunity for application. I believe in you had a video some time ago about our ideals or praying, who am I, or whatever. You've asked that question. My sense is very similar. And as we move toward this deeper understanding of ourselves, our desires, our natural ideals, not flippant ones, oh, just give me some money and I'll be fine. It's like, give me a relationship and I'll be fine. You don't know that. I mean, people, it's like you want the right one. You don't just want money. You want the right context. You want the right investment. You want the right opportunities for what you desire in your life. To have a free-for-all in some ways is not good because give a child whatever money, they'll go buy candy and make themselves sick. You need to be able to be mature enough to stand back and stand up and consider your true desires. Consider your heart and focus on that. Consider that, yes, there is a limit now, not because I'm being restricted, but because I'm being prompted to prioritize. See, one thing that a limited situation helps us do is it helps us understand the meaning and value of prioritization. Otherwise, if we say, well, whatever, we can, last can come first and who knows, and let's do there was a video on YouTube I saw the other day about some hypnosis thing of, how to make your eyes blue how to change the color of your eyes through subliminal hypnosis or whatever.
Really?
Oh, yeah, and how to make your hair grow longer faster, how to make your white hair black, and all kinds of things. And I'm saying there's a shitload of things you could be actually focusing upon that are far more priorities than changing your eye color, because that kind of thing requires a lot of energy and focus, if it is even possible. It can be, because, you can affect the state of your genetic expression. So technically it can be. But we only have so much energy available now. Even if there is free energy available in some contexts, our priority is to make the moves we need to make to actualize the future we want where the free energy is available. So people are lazy in the sense, people in general tend to be lazy. First, they don't prioritize, and then they don't have enough energy to do what needs to be done because they're focused on trivia, because trivia is not challenging. So not so much laziness, but avoidance of discomfort. Again, we come back to the same theme. The one way that some people say is, okay, why don't we just arrest these cabal members? Somebody arrest them. You have one day to arrest them or I won't believe you. So to demand other people go out of their way, do all these sacrifices while they stand back and watch. Just like many people, oh, you have to sacrifice yourself and do this and do that. Everybody loves to give advice, myself included, but nobody is as eager to follow up, myself included. And I say as eager to specify that I do make it a point to prioritize following up on my own advice and proving it to myself most of the time before I even say it, but not always. But in this case, I truly believe and have proven in my own experience that, look, I have only so much energy available, so much motivation, so much commitment, so much oomph, shall we say, so much ideal. So my heart can only open so much at this time because there's so much shadow still there, so much restriction. These things need not dishearten us. All they need to the opportunity they offer is that we can prioritize. So what is the most important thing to us? That's on top. The second, the third, and then we don't have to worry about it because we say, well, this is where my focus goes. And the most important thing usually encompasses everything else. We can usually deal with everything. So here's another example. Let's go arrest the Kabbalah. And why aren't these bastards...
I talked about that a few days back.
Yeah. Why aren't these bastards arresting them? Why are they delaying? Well, I don't know about their motives. I can't say. Human beings have many motives, and we can have positive and negative motives. But there is a practical consideration, nevertheless, of why you can't just come up and lock these guys up. That is the standing army of mercenaries that are in the wings, that are not just intelligent, they're not just intellectual and intelligent psychopaths, they're completely nuts because they've been violently trained to be unstable. They're like wild dogs. You have the political terrorists, the religious terrorists, the drug cartels, the white slavery cartels, et cetera, the mercenary armies.
The Blackwater boys and stuff like that that don't have any military code of conduct or anything like that. They work for psychopaths and they get the worst psychopaths to be part of these groups.
Exactly. Plus the pirates on the high seas, they work for them too. The mafias of the cities, the gangs, all of these. This is an army that these people have that works for them. Now, if you take the leaders out of the army and leave the colonels and the local warlords, what's going to happen? And think about this. Now, we know that there's a crap load of nuclear, biological, chemical, and high technological weaponry floating around. And this stuff is light, it's portable. I mean, what's it going to take? How many of these people actually have a little vial of microbial weaponry that they can just throw somewhere? And what's keeping them from doing so? I mean, with all of the crazy terrorist crap, all of the fear-mongering that they're promoting, there is precedence for it. They do have that weaponry. They also have high-tech weaponry we don't even know about. A lot of it is being countered. But the fact remains that they have doomsday weaponry that they're holding back in case they fall. So if they fall, nobody else is going to be standing. And the lunatics that are holding this weaponry are programmed. They also have mind-controlled implants, not just in the general population to go kill a couple of kids and make a big false flag hoopla. They've got mind-controlled operatives within their drug cartels.
Zombies, basically.
Zombies, yes, who are there to suicide everybody. They can suicide the cartel itself if they want to. They can suicide, somebody else. They can have access to some kind of facility. You have a zombie in the facility. You have a zombie as a courier. You have a zombie as somebody who executes the operation. Now, we're talking about people who spend generations planning this crap. We're not talking about some guy like me just speculating here. These people have hired, and I saw this Alex Jones video about, how they have funded university research in anthropology and sociology to go to third world countries to learn about these countries and their weaknesses before they start sending their economic hitmen and starting their civil wars.
Yeah, what was that guy? John Perkins, the Confessions of an Economic Hitman? Is that the guy?
No. This was from a UC Davis professor on Alex Jones yesterday, who's an anthropologist or something. But anyways, he said that this is actually a historically old thing. Genghis Khan would send agents into the cities he would want to conquer, that would pretend they were merchants, that would go ask questions, make friends with the populace, learn all of the folklore and the legends and everything, learn all of the psychological weaknesses, the fears of the people, and then they'd go back to report. And Genghis Khan...
By the way, Genghis Khan, according to what I've understood, Genghis Khan was the dragon family.
Yes. But when he did the conquerings, he did them in a very deliberate manner, similar to the art of war of Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, am I pronouncing it correctly? But basically it says, yeah, basically if you have to fire a shot, you've lost half the war. So, you know, all of this, the most intense aspect of warfare is psychological operations. That's the most important aspect of warfare. Even bloody wars where people are killed is a matter of psychological operation. Even the downing of aircraft where people are killed is a matter of psychological operation. And not only, usually there is one or two people on the aircraft that want to be assassinated, but they don't want to make them martyrs or other people to know that these people are dangerous, such as scientists going to a certain summit in Malaysia, passing over the Ukraine. Maybe these scientists had something to say. Nothing is ever mentioned about these things. I'm saying, however, that no matter how many singular scientists or innovators there are, the idea that they represent is alive in many. They can't kill all of them, so they intimidate them. In any case, I'm saying that before you try to rush and say somebody else do something, I'm going to say it ain't going to happen because we're in a Mexican standoff as far as the Dragon family factions are concerned. That means that one side holds cards and the other side holds cards. And they don't want to create a chaotic situation. That is my assessment. Nobody wants to blow up the world unless they have nothing left to lose, including the psychopaths. Now, off to the metaphysical. What do I do about it? Well, if I can't go start a revolution, if I don't know anybody, I begin networking and stuff. Networking is there to counter psychological warfare first. It is not there to get the protesters together to march on City Hall and kick out the whatevers, because the media is sold out. The politicians are sold out. Most of the police are sold out. Public opinion is completely confused. So when you have all of these things sold out, with individuals alienated from each other within the institutions and compartmentalized, just marching is not going to do it. And if you do it en masse, you're going to have those operatives triggered, throwing little vials everywhere of Ebola virus. Already there's something on the internet coming out, oh, Ebola virus is, you know, a scare in some airport, you know, that somebody was bringing Ebola virus from Africa and all these other things. So the first line of defense is defending against psychological operations. Informing the others, the other people, is part of that, but it's not enough. It's defending against this is where people, and it's not the info war where you just inform and figure out and inform. This is psycho warfare. And we have not organized in terms of defense against psycho warfare. We are doing this through ideological expression and all of that, but right now we are still running around like chickens with our heads cut off, reacting instead of acting. So networking provides an infrastructure for people to share ideology and recognize that they live in a world, in a matrix, that is a psych warfare battlefield. The whole thing. From the moment kids go to school, they're in psych warfare. From the moment they watch TV, they're in psych warfare. Anything they eat is advertised, has psych warfare elements in it, not just physical, chemical, all of these things in order to destroy the immune system and everything. Everything is psych warfare. Even the chemtrails are psych warfare. Something you can see, but you can't react against it. It's, you know, it's overwhelming and constantly, and then the constant media play on war and suffering and sacrifice, not to mention the psychic elements that most people don't even recognize. So the esoteric aspect provides a dynamic that essentially bypasses psych warfare because it gives you a whole slew of resources that the psych warfare people cannot counter. The only way they could counter it in ancient times was by burning people and hounding everybody. But these days, it's impossible. You can easily conceal it, be comfortable with it, play around with the memes. Nobody will know what you're doing. When I was on occult forums, there were all these nasty people attracted to spell casting, blah, 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 that kind of thing, because they could commit a crime without being accused and get away with it. Essentially, you could curse somebody and make them have an accident, technically speaking, and you are the cause of it, essentially, but there's no legal ramification. Nobody will even point a finger at you, but these people still went off and bragged about it. I mean, you could even brag about it, and nobody will, they'll say, okay, yeah, but, is it even real? And even if it is real, what can you do, except countercurse? So these people are engaged in this crazy little environment of cursing and countercursing for the stupidest reasons, just to prove that they're stronger than the other person.
So all the black magic stuff really, they're a black magic war.
Exactly. And they don't even call it black magic. It's just a war. It's a psychic war, psychic warfare. It's not black or white magic or anything like that. It's this applying the power of the mind in a ritualistic manner against other people for petty reasons. So these petty people, these neurotic people, who create these brotherhoods, these pseudo-brotherhood types or organizations of magic and occult and whatever, do it for petty ego reasons. And because they believe they have this power and can get away with it, they engage in psychopathic behavior on a small scale. They will not attack you physically, but they will do, and they will also use neuro-linguistic programming to get you to believe in what they're doing, because that makes you more receptive. Now, the thing is that all of this is secondary because they're amateurs and they don't affect the vast collective. But they do assist the greater psychopathic psychology with what they're doing, and that's secondary. I'm trying to say that most people are not ready for that kind of responsibility. However, if they can move to learn a few things, the spiritual people are good candidates. Their problem is fear. They're cowards. They're saying, oh, fear is false. Don't face it, fear is a bad thing. They're the most fearful people of all. If they were not fearful, they wouldn't want to escape. I'm talking about spiritual escapists. They're terrified. Nobody runs away unless they're terrified.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of days ago in the video. I did, not you and I.
Yeah. All of these things, the same themes keep coming up. So I had long ago talked about certain methods that people can engage in to strengthen themselves, moving energy, the prayer that you mentioned, the focus of attention, prioritizing. The thing is, on a practical level, if you don't believe in the occult, you do believe in psych warfare, because that is an undeniable fact. And psych warfare has infiltrated the subconscious of everybody so much that we even engage in it ourselves. We end up adopting things, belief systems that are pro-psychopathic, that favor the matrix, and we end up defending them, thinking that, we're actually thinking for ourselves, and our will is, and we feel empowered because we're part of the crowd, and we're part of the strong ones, the cabal that keep sending messages that they're the elite, that they're the nobles, that they're the superiors, that they're the aliens or whatever, and that they have genetically engineered the rest of all kinds of things that put us in an inferior position. You can wipe it all, and you can see that the common factor of many a religion and many of New Age thought is to put us, the people who are embodied on this planet, who have no title, in an inferior position. And it is our responsibility, our ability to respond, to counter that and stand up with sovereignty in ourselves. And never forget that we are in a psych war. And it's good that we're in a psych war, because keeping it a psych war spends the energy in a direction where it's not going to become a physical war. There is less likelihood of earth changes, less likelihood of physical destruction or Armageddon when we keep it at the psych war level. And I know that the Kabbalah always pushes the envelope, and there's a lot of tolerance from the other dragon families and things that are going on in all nations, because too much infiltration from those who mean well would upset the apple cart. in a way that true a cascade of chaos. And there's many on both sides that are probably saying, well, we need chaos. We need to upset the apple cart. And that is a dangerous situation because we don't want the reset button pushed. And everybody knows that. So in that sense, there is very likely a game of chicken going on where the reset button is concerned. You know, everybody is threatening to press it, but I am not sure if anybody even really wants it to be pressed except from people who are completely crazy and recognized as crazy by those around them. Now, these families, on whatever faction they are not stupid. They understand who the crazies are, who the rational people are, and who are level-headed, although they may differ in terms of ideology, even if their ideology is cold-hearted from a normal person's regular person's point of view. So I'm saying this: anybody can be dragon connected. Anybody opening up their energy field. Anybody engaging in 555, as we call it, which is not a going backwards because most people haven't even reached 444 properly. How can it be a going backwards? I mean, come on, we're talking about a collective ideal here. And they're pushing us to 666 because it's like being pushed into having sex when you're 5 years old and not ready for it. You know, 666 is the number of networking. And now society is engaging in a kind of enforced networking. We're almost not ready for the internet in many ways. If it was gradual, just like, you know, somebody's first intimate experience, gradual and loving and considerate, with a lot of foreplay, et cetera, a lot of sweet talking, a lot of trusting words and a lot of comfort, then the internet would be a different thing altogether. I mean, all of the things in our society would be different if we could engage in them with natural, loving sincerity. However, there is a psychopathic motive involved. There is rape involved, psychic rape more than anything. So 666, when it's demonized, it's like rape because you have a network of raping influences. When it's harmonized, it's like lovemaking. It is also, like I said, the number of sensuality and all of this. You're not ready to have sex unless you're comfortable in your own skin, okay, no matter what age you are. Everybody knows that. So you can take that analogy, and that's what 555 is. Most people are not comfortable in their own skin. Most people are not grounded. Most people are not comfortable with the feelings they have or the responses that are going on in their environment. No matter, even if they're in love with each other, there's always other things that they're not willing to face. So 444, 555, whatever, it's not going backward. It's actually going forward, you know. It's pretentious to think, oh, I'm ready for. So many people think they're avatars out there.
And they're ready for 777.
Hell yeah. Hell,
why would we want to go backwards? Somebody wrote that earlier in the week.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to that person. I can understand it. But the thing is, look at how the world is and how much you can affect it in terms of your willpower. Not in terms of going out and doing something physically, but in terms of, can you walk into a room and change the mood by simply willing it? Can you change the mood of another person who is depressed? Can you make them uplifting by simply smiling and looking into their eyes? Can you touch another person's heart with your hand like you guys do in the love line and send that message? You know, these are the basics of networking. And these are the basics that tell us through their feedback if we're ready for extended networking. Is our energy, does our belief affect other people? Do we inspire other people directly as well as through these media? If we can do that, then that's a signal, a sign that maybe our energy can affect things around us. This isn't a matter of occultism or esoterics, but there is a consideration. You can affect the dragon lines on the planet in the same manner that your mood affects other people when you walk into a room. It's not just body language, believe me. It's a felt energy. If somebody walks into a room and they're empowered, and they're charismatic, and they're sovereign, the others will turn and look at them, whether they're humble or not, especially if they're humble, because then they will make an impression because their appearance will belie what they're resonating, what they're radiating. So somebody walks into a room and they can affect it. They are affecting the dragon lines, the energy lines connecting the people in the room. Dragon lines are in the sky. They're just energy lines. Dragon lines move through the internet. Dragon lines move down under the earth. Dragon lines flow out from the heart. You know, think dragon lines in terms of living forces of life. And this is why somebody like the ambassador, in my opinion, happens to talk about 555 so much in relation to the dragons. And saying, well, the dragons, this and that and the other, and then 555 is the answer. Because the dragons aren't just, they're not people. I don't talk about them in terms of specifics. Dragons are living waveforms. I've mentioned this in another video as well. The dragon is a mythological creature. It's a very real creature in the astral plane, in the energy plane. And the creature is a living waveform of life. Number 5 is an expression of the dragon. It's not the only expression of the dragon, but it's the middle of the number line. So there you can see the pivotal activation dynamic of the dragon. So again, mastering 555, the full hand there, the human number, the Vitruvian man, where a human is a star, spreading their arms and legs and with their head. Mastering this number means being able to interact with other people in terms of sensing what is going on around you and making the proper course corrections and choices depending on the energy state and all the nuances. What can help you connect deeper in the world are the lines of the earth. You can extend your sensations, the same sensations that feel the presence of another person, into the earth. And I've said this before, not all the way to the center, just a little bit, just into the ground where the ley lines operate, where dowsers sense currents. You can extend your awareness, you can feel that, and you can learn to read those. And you can do the same thing, just about 6 inches over your head. There's a kind of chakra above the crown that connects to the ionosphere where the aurora borealis is. It's resonant there. You don't have to fly millions of feet up and all of this stuff in order to connect. But these two are collective connectors of the dragon lines, the twin dragon principles of earth and sky. And the third pivotal principle is the human factor. The human being is a dragon. A dragon is the combination of a serpent and a tree. My own astrological zodiac, whatever, Chinese zodiac, is the wood dragon. And it exemplifies that. The living tree, the pillar, but with the serpentine form around it that moves and makes it dynamic, is another manifestation of the dragon. It's the pillar that roots between earth and sky. The rainbow is another exemplification of it. The rainbow is basically a connection between earth and sky. At the end of the rainbow, there's a pot of gold. Why is there a pot of gold? Because you have all the frequencies of the dragon lines coming into the earth and bonding with them, and gold is the result. Gold is the fusion of earth and sky. Gold is the center of the human heart. Gold is the essence of creation, the true gold. And this is basically understood, but it's at that level, it's very difficult to feel because we have so much inhibiting it. But we can make a start. You don't have to be so, we're boiling things down. We're using numerology now to boil things down so we don't get into complicated esoteric theories. If you understand this number 5 is simply connecting, and you can understand that the balance point, all of your centers, not just the heart chakra, but all of your centers from the central center below. Did you know that the word Svadhisthana, which is the name of the second chakra, Svadhisthana, means one's own mental place, means the place you naturally reside in, your natural stance. And that stance is
the second chakra?
The second sexual chakra.
The one
exactly.
up from the root chakra. Okay.
Exactly. The root chakra is the root foundation. That's its name, Muladhara. And this root foundation, above it, is the place where you are standing. It's your own house, your abode. That means the sensual, sexual sense of being is our natural attitude. And from there, you move into the power center and the heart center. Basically, we are sensual beings. If we're comfortable in our own skin, we feel a constant sensual buzz as we're moving around. You know, it's not a full turn on or whatever. Oh, what am I going to do? I'm horny. It's basically a natural, the adult. The child feels it's similar, and that's beaten out of them. But, you know, the adult feels a very strong sensual buzz throughout their body that's a natural sense of well-being. And this is where the mind rests. The second chakra and the third eye, if you take the heart as the center and create circles, you know, you have chakra pairs. You have the throat, the solar plexus, your navel, and then you have the third eye and the second chakra. Basically, your sense of identity is connected to this sensual sense of presence. Your sense of I am doesn't need to rely on the ego when you allow the sensuality to permeate your mind as well as your body and become an energy field.
It's interesting because I used to do a meditation where I had people visualize figure eights going through the heart chakra from the root chakra to the heart chakra up to the crown chakra and then back down again. And then I would do it with from the second chakra through the heart to the third eye and then from the solar plexus through the heart to the throat. And I would do that was one of my meditations that I used to do in the metaphysical groups that I led.
Many people spontaneously tune into this, the onion layering of the human aura in terms of chakra poles, the upper and the lower being harmonized with the heart being in the center. And many people have blockages, not, well, you do it vertically and whatever, but if you harmonize the pairs together like that, either with figure eights, but also with circles around you, then you resonate with the world in a more sovereign manner. Because sovereignty is a state of being, and it's a felt experience. Sovereignty means that you are comfortable in your own skin, and comfort in my own skin. Okay, silence again. Comfort in my own skin means that I have a feeling, not a neutral emptiness, not a vagueness or a numbness, but I am turned on. I am turned on with a mild buzz of being alive. My genitals are slightly buzzing. My breasts are slightly buzzing, whether I'm a man or a woman. My belly is slightly buzzing. My head is buzzing, and on the inside, I feel that sensual dynamic coming out my eyes. You know, it helps. That's why couples work. It helps a lot. You're with another, an intimate other, and you look at their eyes and open up to being receptive. It is not just the heart. The powerhouse of your foundation, the root that connects you to the earth, the power of that foundation is the second chakra, and it connects directly to the third eye, which is our not only our identity, but the power of command, the power of intention. When we look at our eyes, if you look at your eyes at any part of the body, you can feel a tingle there. Our eyes direct our intention often. And the throat has another vibratory because there's no way you can speak without the diaphragm and the solar plexus. The navel is another chakra, the belly button, the umbilicus. And there's a secondary umbilicus at the base of the skull. Occultists use this to possess people. If you extend an energy tendril at the base of somebody's skull, that's how occultists basically infiltrate, so to speak. Because there is a neural plexus called the reticular activating system that acts as a filter that keeps the extraneous stimuli away from the brain. Certain hallucinogenic drugs break down this filter, and then you have a connection of mind and body with all of these sensations moving through and turning into real perceptions. This is all physiologically accurate. It sounds strange to people because they come from an observer anatomist point of view. You know, how a scientist needs an experimental animal and carves it open and sees everything. Well, this point of view is internalized. You feel it all within yourself. You don't need to chop anybody up. It's unloving. You know, the mystic and the occultist and the true esotericist basically do whatever the scientist does, but from the inside. And it's more natural because we're not meant to chop people up. We're not meant to chop others and, you know, just to see what's on the inside. That's sick. If a little kid could feel what it meant to hurt another animal, to hurt another human being, they wouldn't do it. But it's pounded out of them, and they're encouraged to do so, even if through a moral facade of it not being right. So through all of this, I'd like to connect the world that everybody considers real, the matrix world, with the true spiritual world at 555, which is energy perception. 444 is basically grounding into energy perception. 444 is being able to feel any kind of response. Groundedness means receptivity. Groundedness means being able to experience any kind of impacting wave upon your being. Now, generating those waves through your own life force is 555. Basically, what are you going to do when you're grounded? You're going to live. 555 is that. What are you going to do? How are you going to live? You're going to interact. You're going to relate. That's 666. You're going to network. You're going to have sex. You're going to have communication. This is all 666. You're going to produce. You're going to reproduce. That is 666. Let's forget about 77 now. 77 just as 666 stands upon 555, then 777 stands upon 666. If you don't understand in an embodied manner the ramifications of 666, you cannot conceive of 777. The psychopaths only understand the malignant version of 666, which is rape, which is subversion, which is conquest, which is enslavement. This is adverse networking. This is cancerous network. All of the ills of society are based on the adverse and sickness of this connection, this adverse and false connection and malignant connection. So that is all 666. If you can master 555, you can feel 6 and work with it in your life. Personal relationships will begin popping up as you master 555. Friends will be revealed as true friends, and everybody else will be able to be perceived as who they are. The liars, send them away. This is a matter that we cannot avoid our own training. New Agers, channelers talk about training all the time. Oh, we're being taught our lessons. Well, here it is. Hands-on. These are the lessons. And prioritize what is most important to you. There is no way to avoid it. We are here on a psychic battlefield, not just a psychological one, but we are fully equipped to deal with it. Now, as you mentioned, today has been a quiet day at the Internet Café. There has been a little bit of noise popping up, but it has been more quiet than usual. So I hope people will take the time to listen to this and think about it, because it offers food for thought and opportunity for application. Thank you once again very much for your time.
Thank you, Aristo. Namaste.